going on, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bets presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Chris Meaney, right here on the Mayo Media Network. Thanks for taking the time to hang out on this Wednesday. Only 2 games on the ice, Boston and New York. That's the Rangers against the Bruins and the Habs against the Leafs. Only 2 games, but we're going to break them down. I got one of the best in the biz, Dennis Coach Esser, to join me from The Athletic. Break those down in a little bit. If you're just new to the Mayo Media Network, I mean, what are you doing? Subscribe, like, leave a comment. Maybe it's a comment about your favorite pick tonight. Maybe somebody's struggling in your season-long leagues, and we'll break it down for you in a little bit. But first, it's the Prize Picks play of the day. As I mentioned, only a couple games, but several different player props to choose from over at prizepicks.com. If you're just new, check them out. Use that promo code MMN, 100% match deposit of up to $100 when you use that promo code MMN. And you can use all kinds of sports, right? It doesn't have to be hockey. We're going to dive into the hockey here with 2 props that I like, but you can mix and match across all the sports that you love. 3 points for a goal, 2 for an assist, and 0.5 for a shot. So Brad Marchand, I got to start with him. 4.1. I really love that perfection line. Obviously, the Rangers are struggling right now, and that top line is solid, but David Pastrnak is juiced up a little bit. Patrice Bergeron is as well. So I'm taking the easy way out and looking at Marchand at 4.1. He enters tonight on an 8-game point streak. He's got 5 goals and 12 points over that span. 6 of them have come on the power play, logging heavy minutes, right? That top line in Boston is unlike any other real top line in the NHL. They just play a ton. You could probably get about 20-21 minutes out of Brad Marchand tonight. He has a shot in every game over this point streak, 25 over that span, averaging 3 per. So a nice solid floor there. 1.5 if he gets 3 shots. That's what we're looking at. He could block a shot on the PK. We know he's very lethal on the PK, just like he is on the power play. And if he gets a point, we'll be well on our way. The next guy here is Thomas Tatar, and I struggled with him. Tuna Tatar. It's just too low, right? At 2.4 is just too low for me. 3 goals and 7 points on the season. Not really blown anybody away with his production. He's struggled of late, 10 games without a goal. He did score his first game of the season, which happened to come against these very same Maple Leafs. He's on the first line. It's going to be tough for the first line. They're going to be matched up against Austin Matthews, but it is a solid line 5-on-5 with Brendan Gallagher and Philip Deneau. He's still on the power play. He's the shooter on the second power play on the half boards. All we got is we just need a point. We just need 1 point from Tatar and we're there. Or 5 shots on goal, which he had 2 games ago. And he just happens to have points in 6 of his past 8 games against the Maple Leafs with 4 goals over that span. So give me the over on Tatar, 2.4, just too low. And Brad Marchand at 4.1. And a shout out to Mitch Marner, who has an 8-game point streak, 15 points over that span, is another guy that I was looking at. Use that promo code MMN over at PrizePicks.com. All right, with that out of the way, 2 games on the ice, as I mentioned. Let's bring in Coach Esser from The Athletic. Dennis, what's going on, man? Happy to see you.
Happy to see you too, Chris. Really excited for you. I've been watching the show. You're doing a great job breaking down all the content. Really fun stuff, especially your pick last week on Wednesday. You had Pastrnak, and that killed it for me.
Yeah, he's been really good. And the picks so far have been good. It was a rocky first week. Maddie and I were like, what's going on here? We don't want to give bad picks. We want some winners. Some people are starting to reach out as well. Last night, 6 for 6 on the props, and on Monday, 5 for 5 on the props. It's a shot props, a couple long shot props in there, I think I had last night Leon Draisaitl anytime goal. Guy hits the bar on the empty net. It comes and it goes. Of course, this as a betting man and providing a lot of content over at The Athletic. But if you're looking for more picks, this show's been great. The guys have been awesome on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. But if you're looking for more picks, ftnbets.com. Use that promo code Meaney. Use the promo code Mayo. Either way, it's all good. Let's get into today. I'm glad that you're here because I want to get your thoughts on the Rangers. This is one of the most intriguing teams. I know that they're kind of still rebuilding in the fact that they have some young players, but they have a lot of great players on their team too. So I expect a little bit more from them. You and I were chatting about Mika Zibanejad. They're up against the Bruins tonight, as I mentioned. They're home dogs here, plus 135, 7-4 against the spread. The total's at 6. Boston minus 157. It's both ends of it here tonight. We got the Bruins 8-1-2 on the year, and the Rangers 4-5-2, last place in the division. Let's start with Mika, though, because this is a guy that's struggling. I'm getting a lot of questions, in season long. I made him the cover art of my Meanies target, so I'm getting heat right off the hop. I just I'm fascinated with him. I think he's a great player. I love that trade the second that they made it with the Senators. What was it, like Brassard and maybe a pick, and then they got Mika Zibanejad out of that deal.
And we got a pick back too. We got like a second round. Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah. Although it doesn't win a lot of deals, but Zibanejad has certainly struggled, and we were chatting it before we came on. What have you seen from his game? Are you confident that he can turn it around a little bit? And what do you just make of this Rangers team? We're, 3.5 weeks into the season now.
Well, the first couple of weeks of the season, Philip Edel was by far their best center. He wasn't good in the faceoff circle, but driving play, entering the zone, using his body, getting shots on goal, getting his teammates involved, he was by far their best center. Zibanejad was either injured or had some kind of COVID-related issues before the season, and he doesn't seem to have recovered. He's not skating the same way. He's not carrying the puck the same way. His shot looks off. The power play is extremely right-handed right now. They're putting him over on the sideboards, trying to get shots through, trying to get the puck to Kreider in front, and it's not working. I don't know if it's Tony DeAngelo being in and out of the lineup before they finally cut bait with him, but the power play just isn't working. The only one that's working there is Adam Fox. He's been carrying their power play lately, but beyond that, they look disjointed. This is a bad matchup for Mika going against Bergeron. If they decide to match up those two lines, you're not going to see a lot of points out of Mika. You're not going to see him with the puck or getting shots on goal. And especially when he's playing with Kreider and Buch, that sets Mika up to score. Those guys are puck retrievers. They're decent passers. Kreider's going to make room for Mika. But if Mika's not going to be scoring, then it really doesn't matter. It's very interesting right now because Strome is the one who's playing a little bit better, even though he still tends to pass too much. Putting Kakko on the right wing, he's been playing more like Buchnevich lately. He's taking the body. He's winning pucks. They're not putting him in position where he has to carry the puck through the neutral zone where his skating kind of gets exposed a little bit. So, right now I think Strome is probably the better option if you're looking at centers today for the Rangers.
So, yeah, I was going to say maybe the Panarin and Strome line. Mika, I think he's going to turn it around. For everybody out there who has asked about him in a season-long league, you definitely don't drop him. He was a borderline first-round pick, at least for me, like end of the first, early second. You just wait. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets going. You're right. That power play, there was a game I watched against, I think it was the Devils, and they scored 3 or 4 power play goals, and it looked really, really good. And I think it was mostly led by Adam Fox. Touch on Fox. How impressive is he?
Oh, he's been unbelievable. Yeah. That trade, I feel bad for Carolina fans because Carolina's got a really good team that looks like they could make a run in the playoffs, and Fox on that team would look unbelievable. Yeah. So the fact that the Rangers got him for 2 second-round picks, and he's such a smart player. He's not the quickest skater, but he makes all these little plays and little moves to get the Rangers out of tough situations or to get him in great situations for offense. The guy is amazing if you watch him night in, night out. He's not, top 5 defenseman right now, but he's definitely in the conversation for top 10.
Yeah, and he's priced like he's a top 5, top 10 defenseman over on DraftKings. They were easy on his price, Esser, in the first maybe week and a half, 2 weeks, but man, he's been priced up there every single night.
Well, I think in the first 2 weeks, it was iffy to see who was going to be more on the power play, either he or DeAngelo. And for some reason, the Rangers still keep giving Trouba time at right defense on a power play, which just makes no sense, especially when you see him trying to chase the other teams trying to score shorthanded goals. So, for me, Fox has been unbelievable. He's been their best player. And not too far behind is the rookie Keandre Miller. I'm a little worried about how much they're playing him and how much they're exposing him to the league against these good teams. But so far, he's been up to the task. He's been great getting the puck out of the zone. He's also been good on rushes, taking up space, taking defenders away so Panarin can get shots on goal. So, I think those two players have just been head and shoulders above most of the team this year.
Yeah, I was looking at Miller too. He's a guy that we like over at FTN. Is a little bit of a salary saver in DFS. He had the 5 blocks his last time. He has 2 blocks in 5 straight games. But you're right, heavy minutes so far from this guy. 1958 his last game, 22-22, 20-20 his previous few games as well. So Panarin, that second line, maybe with Panarin and Strome. I noticed Strome off that top power play. It's been like that for a few games. Alexis Lafreniere, what have you seen from him so far? He had that big overtime goal. Was, I believe, his only goal, right? And potentially his only point. Yes. And it seemed like maybe that was it. Maybe that's it. I kind of got them going. Cam was on the show and we were like all fired up about the Rangers, and he scored the overtime goal. And we're like, all right, this is it. This is when the Rangers get going. They lost, but then they won 2 after that. And then the tough, loss again to the Islanders. It seems like they can't score on Varlamov, but what have you seen so far from the rookie?
Yeah, I think he's unsure. He's unsure of his game right now. When he's playing, he's a hard forechecker. He really gets in on players. He likes to release from the defensive zone. He's a good puck carrier. He makes offense. And right now, you see him. He's a step behind. He doesn't know when to attack a defender, where to be, where's the best place to kind of steal the puck. He's taken a couple penalties, reaching in and getting on the hands, which is something – from juniors, you got to get that out of your game going into the pros. But I love him. I just feel like he's in the same spot that Kakko was last year, where Quinn is pushing him to be almost a less productive player to get him more sound defensively. And it's hurting because the Rangers don't have the depth in scoring to really carry a rookie for the first 20 games that's not scoring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially they gave him time on the top line, and that was a complete waste because he wasn't retrieving the puck. Zibanejad was staying back. It left it all to Buchnevich, and it was really not a good look. So being on the third line, now he's got Howden instead of Heedle as the third line center, and Howden really is a borderline NHL player. He really is not going to help drive offense at all on that third line.
Is David Quinn on the hot seat? Would he be on the hot seat if the Rangers missed? I mean, it's such a tough division. There's so many good teams inside that division, but I just hear outside noise. You're there, you follow the team a lot. If they miss the playoffs and they continue to struggle like this, would they make a coaching change, you think?
I could see them possibly making a coaching change if there's no development with their top players. If they see Kakko struggling, if they see Lafreniere being wasted, then what's the point of having Quinn in charge if he's not going to put them in a position to play their best? And right now, I see that as a problem. I mean, there was some rumors that Kakko was on some podcasts talking about how he was coached last year, the confidence it took away from him. He's more comfortable this year, but I think it's almost he's comfortable based on the work he's done and learning from other players more than he's learning from Quinn. So, you can almost see him. He's modeling his game after Buchnevich. And what's going to happen when the Rangers bring over Kraftstoff?
Right.
It's another player that kind of plays a similar game. Not fleet of foot, has a big body, great hands. We're going to have 3 right wingers that do the same thing. So, for me, I'm not sold on Quinn. I don't like the matchups he does at the end of games. He has Potato on the ice. Potato and Hayek, they're in a tough spot with that third defensive pair. If I'm the other teams, I'm targeting them like crazy. I'm dumping the puck. I'm making them make bad decisions and trying to score that way. Even changing on the fly if I see those 2 on the ice.
Yeah, they're going to be in tough, against the Bruins. We talked about the top line. Well, at least I mentioned them off the top of the show, and Marchand and the 12 points over the 8-game streak. And Bergeron's got 14 points over his last 8 games. And then Pastrnak back in the lineup here. He's played 4 games. He has 5 goals, 8 points, and 22 shots on goal. He has over 40 shot attempts. He just loves to shoot the puck so much. I mean, I was looking at the game where he had the hat trick, and he had, I think, 13 shot attempts in that game, like just shooting it from all over the place. We know how deadly he is. So Rangers going to have their hands full with that top line. And then, Maddie's been making Nick Ritchie boards for us every other day. Like he has been producing and he's on the top power play. Krejci's playing good hockey. You bring in Craig Smith, who's a volume shooter, can score. I've been impressed with the young blue line that the Bruins have right now. I know they struggled to score 5-on-5 to start the year, but they were without their best sniper in Pasternak, but they didn't replace Torrey Krug. They didn't replace Zdeno Chara. I mean, say what you want about Chara, but he eats up minutes and he plays against top guys. He's got the long reach. He's good on the PK, but they've been very impressive on the blue line. So I thought maybe I would lean Rangers, but you're not giving me good vibes here. I think maybe the play is just Boston on the money line at -157.
Yeah, I would go Boston on the money line, even though it's in New York. I don't see the Rangers matching up that well. Plus, the goalies in Boston are playing well. I could see, I don't know who Boston's starting tonight, but if I were them, I would start Halak. I think the Rangers have had trouble with Halak. He's played really well to start the year. I think it's a good spot to get him on, some minutes. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we got Alexander Georgiev is slated to start for the Rangers. They've been kind of going back and forth. It looked like Shesterkin took the net a little bit, but they're going back to Georgiev here. And you're right. I mean, this is probably, I don't know, Maddie, step in here. Halak and Rass, they've been one of the better 1-2 punches in the league for I think ever since Halak went to the Bruins. He's got a 1.72 goals against average and 923 save percentage. He's actually playing better than Tuukka Rask. And last year, Rask was a top 5 fantasy goalie. And Maddie, Halak was a top 10 fantasy goalie. It's quite the duo.
Yeah, when I go to my fantasy drafts, if I try to get tandems, the Bruins tandem's way up there on my pecking order of goalies I want to get. I mean, they join the likes of me wanting to get Price and Allen this year, but I saw in a league that you and I are in, those are literally the only 2 goalies you have. But, yeah, that was a fun draft. I saw that. I was like, who has these Habs goalies? And I was like, why'd I ask myself that? That's just
the whole room chirped me when I picked Price like it was a bad pick.
No, he slipped. He slipped.
Yeah, I know he slipped because I was drafted with a bunch of Leaf fans, so he slipped. I knew what I was getting myself into, Esser. But the thing about that league, and I like it, is that you only can start one goalie, right? There's just like most leagues, your standard leagues, you can start 2. So you just start 1. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I came on this show talking about the Habs, and we'll get to them a little bit about how I thought they were improved. So I'm like, I'm just going to ride this 1-2 punch. I know that Price is not going to play every day. This is why they brought in Allen, so they can rest him a little bit. I'll just play these 2, and if it doesn't work out, I'll grab somebody else out. But the thing is, like, there's so many games on the Tuesday and the Thursday. Kind of get shafted here on the Mondays and Wednesdays, but the Tuesdays and the Thursdays with all the games, you have to make that tough choice. You can't play. Like if I draft, I don't know, I drafted Leonard and I drafted Price. So who are your goalies? You got to make the choice to start one every
I have
night.
Leonard, Grubauer, and Shesterkin in that league.
So good luck. You want to play Grubauer every night.
Who beat you in the match-up? Let's just remember that.
You know what you're doing. I give you credit. I didn't even know I was playing you. My bad. But yeah, you did whoop me. So, but that's the thing, right, Matt? You have to make that tough choice in net. Like Grubauer is a stud. Leonard's struggling a little bit, but I mean, he's probably going to pick it back up, and then you're in a bit of a tough spot. But that's why that's the only league I have out.
I had no idea that you could only start one goalie until I drafted all 3, and I went, oh, shit.
That's it.
That's not the best strategy to going in.
No. And you know what? I think I brought this up in the last episode, Esser, but with all the COVID and all the postponed games, and it's not even St. Louis and Arizona playing 6 times in a row now. It's 7 straight times they're playing. In some leagues, you have to have 2, sometimes 3 starts. I usually don't like to carry 3 or 4 goalies like Matt, but I think Esser, in just the world we're living in right now, you just need to have a couple goalies handy on your team.
You do, especially with what's going on. It's absolutely crazy. Now you got Philly having 3 players, and they're getting into the protocol. So you can see teams in the East, having issues with games and getting enough starts during the week. Luckily, the Rangers and the Islanders haven't had issues yet, but it's coming. It spreads quick in locker rooms with them being on the ice and the humidity. Elliot Friedman's, at least, he's probably been the most honest of all the people talking about it. Because you want to be positive, you want to think that all these games are going to get in, but it's a difficult situation. And I feel for the league right now. and commissioners, because commissioners of fantasy leagues right now are just getting bombarded. Like, oh God, what's going on? I can't play these guys. This is ridiculous.
Need another IR spot. It's like we already have 5 guys. Like you can't have any more. It's tough. Like where's the postponed spots? And then people playing in Yahoo leagues, sometimes the player in their starting lineup is locked for whatever reason before the game would even be starting. And it's already postponed. So some kinks. It's been a struggle. Hopefully you're doing all right. Any questions, again, leave it in the YouTube section. As Mayo says, smash the like button, leave a comment. I'll scan them. I'll get to them. I was looking at the props here. Of course, we're limited, and taking a look at DraftKings Sportsbook. There's not a whole lot. There could be a couple that surface a little bit later on. I mean, Pasternak is 3.5 again at -155. I mentioned the shot attempts, the shots that he's had. I know it's juiced up at a little bit at -155 and 3.5. It was the same odds for Pacioretty yesterday. I would just sweat that out for anybody who had it. He actually had the 3 shots in the final 10 minutes of the third period to get there. I'd like it. I mean, if you're looking for action, there's not a lot. I also like Marchand at 2.5. That's not bad. As I mentioned, he's averaging 3 shots per game over this 8-game point streak that he has, 2.5. So that one's okay, but I do like Pasternak a little bit better, a little bit more here. Goals. I mean, Pass is plus 750 for first time goal. He's plus 108 Besser anytime goal. That's not bad. I thought Zibanejad would be, right around 200 because of the struggles, but I think Vegas knows he's eventually going to turn it around. I don't like the spot, but plus 155. If we're looking for a long shot here, I mean, Richie's 19-1 for first goal, and he is plus 340 anytime. What about Kreider? He's the guy that's been scoring. Tough to go up against that top line, but he's been decent for him.
He's been decent. Again, it's a situation where they're not getting enough shots through on the power play. Yeah. I think if the Rangers are good on the power play, you like Kreider in situations like this. But right now, they're wasting him in front of the net. They're not getting enough shots. They're too right-handed. Strome was a key part of the power play. They took him off it, put Buchnevich there. And honestly, I don't like Buchnevich on those sideboards. He doesn't shoot enough. His passes aren't crisp enough to get a one-timer for Fox. I love the player. I just don't like him on a power play right now. I don't think he's a good fit. So if they get him off, if you hear any rumblings that Strome will be back on the power play, then I would definitely look at Kreider.
Okay. Let's move on from this game. The one guy that I wanted to bring up quickly was just Panarin. The 5 goals, 10 assists. He's looked great. I mean, he's hitting the score sheet. He's got 9 points in his last 5 games. I was going to consider him anytime point, but he's minus 275, so I'm not going to go there. But I think, Pasternak and Marchand, the way to go here for sure. So the other game on the night, Montreal and Toronto, the Habs minus 113 at home, the Leafs minus 104, 5-8 against the spread. Toronto 8-4 against the spread for the Habs. 6.5 is the total. We had a 5-4 Leafs win on opening night. Toronto 10-2-1 on the year. The Habs 8-2-2. What do you think for this game tonight?
This is a great matchup. I mean, talk about 2 teams that look really good. I think I still like the over. I think there's going to be goals galore in this game. 6.5 is a big number, but I like the over in this game. I think it's going to be exciting. I think a lot of times as defenders, there's going to be so much pressure on you that it's going to open up some space on the ice. So I'm still liking the over in this game.
Yeah, and Price honestly hasn't, even though I have him, Matty, and I picked him, he hasn't, in my opinion, looked himself. I mean, he's allowed 3 or fewer in 4 straight starts. He had the one bad game against the Canucks where he gave up 5, but he hasn't really looked himself. So I do feel like there'll probably be some goals here again. The Leafs are a fascinating team I've been just so fascinated with them over the past couple of years with all the stars. John Tavares fell in their lap, and then Matthews and Marner getting the contracts. Willie Nylander looked like at the time, oh my goodness, this guy's holding out. He's greedy. He's getting all this money, but that contract may go down as one of the better ones because he's producing and it's, checks in under 7. So that's pretty solid. The Leafs so far, 48 goals in the season, 15 have been on the power play. It's the second most. They have a power play percentage of 35%. Don't know. I mean, maybe it's sustainable because of all the talented players that they have, but 32% of their goals have come on the power play. That's my only issue with the Leafs is I need to see a little bit more from them 5-on-5. In that opening matchup, against the Canadiens, it looked like Montreal was taking it to them a little bit. And then all of a sudden it's like penalty, pucks in the back of your net twice. Leafs have the lead. It goes to overtime. They're too skilled. It's game over. Yep. I know a lot of people have talked about Montreal and Toronto, making those crazy bets. If you want the crazy long shot bets, like this game's going to go to overtime, this game's going to go to a shootout, go ahead. It's not for me, but they have played a lot of entertaining games, which have gone the distance over the past few years. And both teams 5-on-5. I mean, the Habs 5-on-5 per 60 minutes, according to Natural Stat Trick, second in goals for. The Leafs are seventh. The Habs are a 1.67 goals against. It's number one. The Leafs in the top five, 1.77 goals against. High danger chances, Montreal number one. Scoring chances, Montreal number one. Leafs both top five in both of those chances too. So I think you're dead on, Esser. We're probably going to see some goals here. Austin Matthews is on a heck of a run. I don't know if he's going to score 50 and 56, but I mean, he might, because this division has been a lot of goals all over the place in the North.
I was so surprised that they were even mentioning it on NHL Network. They're talking about, can he do it? Can he do it? Can he set the record in a 56 game season? I'm like, really? I'm like, come on, guys, calm down. Yeah. Like, it's going to be if people score 40 to 45, that should be all time, right, records and celebrated. Like, if he breaks the Toronto record, that would be Wayne Gretzky-esque stuff. Which he's been unbelievable. His shot is so good. He's so good at getting it through feet, and setting himself up in the right spots that it's fun to watch. I really like watching him right now. But your team, Montreal, like, they went out and got fast, tough wingers, the guys that they needed, to help those other lines, create space, put pressure on defense. I love Anderson. I love Toffoli. I love what they're doing. And Nick Suzuki, wow. Not many teams are going to put him in a situation to succeed like Montreal has this year.
Yeah, he's been very impressive. I'm surprised at the points, but I'm not surprised that he's been able to just make this leap. If you watch him in the bubble, he was their best player, and he was starting to just eat up a lot of minutes. And you look across the league at other teams, and you see like Matthews and the 22 minutes, and Scheifele, and McDavid and Draisaitl didn't come off the ice the other night for the last 6 minutes. Like, all these guys, and I'm not comparing Suzuki to them. Don't get me wrong, I'm not doing that. But the balance that they have, and they're rolling through these lines, that Suzuki 18 minutes and 19 seconds, that's what he's averaging per game. That leads all forwards, right?
Yep.
In a sophomore on his team in a sophomore season, it's pretty remarkable. He's only gone 2 games without a point. He's got 3 goals and 12 points on the season. And you're right. It's that line. A lot of these numbers that I rattled off to you, the scoring chances, the high danger chances, the shot attempts at 5-on-5. Montreal was among the leaders last year too, except for the goals. They couldn't score, right? They would get chances, but they didn't have any finishers. So you credit Mark Bergevin for bringing in Josh Anderson, playing on that line with Suzuki and Jonathan Drouin, who looks a little rejuvenated too. It's all the pieces work well. And then Toffoli on the third line, all of a sudden you got balance. Both of these guys are contributing on the power play, and they're both top 5 in goals. So yeah, I've been very impressed with the Habs. I do think what they're doing is legitimate. It's tough to gauge because they're not playing any other teams outside of the division. Like, how do they match up against the Bruins? How do they match up against the Capitals or a Vegas or a Colorado, things like that? But it is what it is. They do look strong in that division. The Leafs look really strong too. And, again, back to that power play, I think that's maybe the difference in the game is for Montreal to stay out of the box, because they've taken the 3rd most penalties in the league. They've been shorthanded the 3rd most. They're in the middle of the pack in terms of PK. And it just seems like every time the Leafs get on the power play, whether it's Matthews or Marner, and Matthews, Matty, what's the goal streak for this guy now? He's got 10 goals in 8 straight games.
It's something ridiculous like that. It's
unheard of.
The one big stat I do want to bring up, and it ties into Matthews, is the Leafs have 11 high danger chances for on average over the last 3 games. And I know they played the Canucks for the last 3 games.
There it is.
But 11 high danger chances against any team is pretty ridiculous.
It is pretty ridiculous. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Wait, lies. I do. The Canucks, 13 high danger chances allowed per 60 minutes is a league high. They allow a lot. The Leafs are in the top 10 too in high danger chances allowed, top 10 against, where the Canadians they're in the bottom 10. But yeah, that's really the only difference between the two teams. I think the over is the play. I will be the homer here and decide lean with the Habs. You guys can all laugh it up, but it's the 5-on-5 play. It's the 5-on-5 play that I think, I'm sitting here talking about the special teams being the difference, but at the end of the day, I think that the Canadians are slightly better 5-on-5. Matt, what did you see from the Leafs in that first game without Wayne Simmons? Because he was really good over the past couple of games, and we were looking at that second line maybe not being an issue, but who would step up and, kind of fill Wayne Simmons' skates. The guy's been pretty good over the past week, but now he's going to be out 6 weeks.
I never thought I'd say heading into the season that Wayne Simmons is going to be a really tough player to replace just based on his body of work over the last few seasons, but he's a tough body to replace. I mean, there's nobody on this Leafs team that can stand in front of the net and, as Wayne Simmons said, just shoot the puck at me. There's nobody on this team that has that hand-eye or that skill and size in front of the net. I mean, you can try and put Mikheyev there. It'll come down to, like you said, the special teams battle between these two teams, and I like what the second power play unit has done. Jason Spezza looks like a young kid, and that's so much fun to watch. It's going to rely on the skill players stepping up, not name Matthews and Marner. You need more from Nylander. You need more from Tavares right now. You need Mikheyev to step up as well. I mean, you and I talked about on the last show that Mickey needs to do something. Jimmy Vesey's another guy that the Leafs need to rely heavily on, and I mean, I could keep going up and down this lineup. I do like your lean with the Canadians. I'll give you that much.
I see the smile. I could just hear the smile.
Yeah.
I need to rig
really
up a 3-camera shot so you can see me struggle to say that. But what I like even more, I like the +1.5 for the Leafs on the puck line.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then again, it's my only difference is the bottom 6 in Toronto. Now they're missing some guys. I like the Simmons addition. Thornton has been okay. Obviously he's out, but it's that bottom 6 Esser, right? When you bring in a Toffoli and an Anderson, all of a sudden those guys that you were playing in the top 6, like a Paul Byron or Terry Lehkonen or Yoel Armia, right? These guys are now all of a sudden on your 3rd and 4th line. They have 2 former 20-goal scorers playing on their 4th line. They lead the league in shorthanded goals. Those are their 4th liner guys who can put the puck in the net. So that's the only difference is the 5-on-5 between the two players. If we're looking at DraftKings here, Matthews up at the top, 8.3. Just looking at his shooting percentage, by the way, it's 21%, 16 for his career. I mean, he is a sniper, but 21% right now. His stick is on fire. He's 8.3 on DK. Bergeron 7.9. Tavares 5.7. Wow, he's really dropped. Suzuki 5.2. Zibanejad has as well. 5K. Krejci 4.1. Deneau 4. No thanks. Kakanemi, no thanks. We're digging deep. Ryan Strome at 3.4 is pretty interesting to me. Esser?
Yeah, I like Strome at that number. It jumped out to me. I think he's going to probably have the most offensive chances, the most chances for assists, and he needs to shoot the puck more. Mm-hmm. So, I think tonight, especially if Zibanejad gets shut down, like we think will happen with Bergeron, he's going to have to get some pucks on net. And I like him I think 3,400 is a great price in this with only these 4 teams playing.
Yeah, you're going to have to find some value, whether you take that top line in Toronto or you go Matthews and Marner, or my favorite line to attack is going to be the Bergeron one. I'm going to want a piece of Bergeron Pastrnak. That's going to be my 2. And then you got to try to find some value a little bit elsewhere. You got Pastrnak 8.5, Marchand 7.4. So even if you plug in just those 2, you're looking at 4.87 already an average. And we don't even have a goalie in there yet. So Marner 7, Toffoli 6.7, Gallagher 6.1, Panarin 5.8, Anderson's 5. That's the line to attack for Montreal. That's the second one. I mean, it's the Suzuki, Tatar, Anderson. They all play on the power play. It correlates pretty well. Nylander 4.9. Wow, Nylander and Tavares, Matt, have really dropped down in price. Buchnevich 4.8, Hyman 4.7, Tatar 4.6. I don't love Tatar and DK. I just like the prize picks. I just think it's fairly low there. Spezza 3.1. Nick Ritchie. Nick Ritchie 4.2, right? It's a cheap way to get a piece of that top power play unit in Boston. What wingers here stand out to you? Are we just maybe attacking that Montreal and Toronto game and just thinking that we could just see a lot of goals there?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at the wingers in that game. Panarin interests me a little bit if I'm going to team him with Strome, thinking that, especially with all the power play time he's going to have. So I'm looking at him. I'm looking at the Montreal wingers a ton. And, if I'm really going to cheap out, I might go with DiGiuseppe. I think DiGiuseppe for the Rangers might get some shots on net. He gets moved up and down the lineup a ton. So sometimes you're going to see him fill in for Buchnevich on the top line, especially if that line doesn't get going. So, him at 3,100 is interesting for me because of the amount of shots he can get on net when he gets some ice time.
There's two kind of quote unquote punt plays, one-offs, but now it's not going to be a one-off, in just a small slate like this. But I had been mentioning Wayne Simmons and Corey Perry playing very similar roles. Wayne Simmons obviously out, but Corey Perry, keep an eye. I expect him to play. I know Yoaramia is he's concussion free now, but I think what they've seen from Perry is just he's been decent, right? I mean, he only has the 3 points in 7 games, but he's got 2 points on the power play. He's getting about 12, 13 minutes. It's not a lot, but at 2-7, getting on that second power play unit. He plays on that second one with Tatar, with Gallagher, with Kotkaniemi, and it's been decent. But I think the line to attack again would be the duo that I like would be Suzuki and Anderson. Anderson shooting the puck, and then maybe you mix in Duran, and then you get into the defense here. I mean, Petrie up at the top 6-2 is having a heck of a year. 5-5 Weber. I like Riley at 4-2. I think he's been underpriced, for a majority of the season. We're really starting to see the Riley that we saw a couple years ago. I think Tyson Barrie cut into a lot of what Riley had done, a couple years before he came in there. He's got 11 points in 13 games. He's got 4 points over a 3-game point streak, eating up a lot of minutes, 24, 26, 24, and 20 in his last couple games. Adam Fox is here at 5K. That's a bit of a discount considering he was up at 6-6, I think, last week. McAvoy 4-6. Don't know if Grizzlick's going to get in the lineup, but he's been working on the power play unit in practice this week. If he gets in there, I would like him at 4-1. Romanov 3-9 is a little bit underpriced for a guy who's going to get some power play time. TJ Brody in there at 3. What about defense? Zabroli? I don't even think that's how you really pronounce it, Jacob, but he's a guy that's been getting some time as well. What do you think?
Yeah, and Keandre's at 2,700.
Keandre, yeah, nice.
Yeah, I like him a little bit if you're going to save some money down there with all of his minutes. And he's shooting the puck a little bit more. I think if you see him against the second line, third line, you'll see him get a little bit more shots on net. The only thing with him holding him back is he's not getting power play time on the 1 or 2 yet. And I think that's coming.
And still playing 20 minutes and not getting PP time.
Yeah, not getting power play time. I don't know why they haven't done it because he's got the best left-handed shot they have on the team. So, and he's a great puck mover. The guy, he passes like a forward. He feathers passes on his backhand. He does a lot of really, really tricky passes in tight. So, I like him a lot at that price. And I want a piece of Boston because right now, the way the Rangers are collapsing on defense, they're really trying to protect the front of the net. A lot of these guys are going to be getting shots through on the power play for Boston. So look at Boston's first power play unit. You've seen a lot of other teams get points that way.
Yeah, good call. I like that call by you. All right, so in net, I think it's pretty simple. I'm going to play Rask or I'm going to play Halak. If you're playing multiple lineups and you want to get a little bit different, I think Frederik Andersen is interesting. Even though I like the Canadians, he could still let in 3 goals and be fine. If he's going to get the save bonus on DK, the 35 saves, I think he's going to get 30 plus shots against him tonight. And then if you want to go ultra contrarian, it would be to get involved with the Rangers, right? Because I don't think anybody's really going to do that, Esser.
No. Georgiev hasn't played since his altercation with D'Angelo, so I'm interested to see how he looks tonight. Yeah. But I feel like it's not a great spot to get in on him, even though he's so cheap. I would rather go with Halak, rather go with Rask, whoever's starting, and then play from there. I think there's enough, cheaper players that you can get that top price goalie tonight.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I didn't give any props here for the Canadians and the Habs. I mean, Matthews is minus 215 at 3.5 shots. It's not for me. He probably will get 4 shots, but I don't make those kind of bets. Gallagher 3.5 is a little high too. There's really honestly nothing here that I love. Other sites may offer Josh Anderson or Tyler Toffoli at 2.5. I would jump on those guys. They are the volume shooters on the power play. They've been hot. They're shooting the puck quite often. Matt, you said you were maybe going to get involved with some anytime goals. I know Matthews has absolutely torched the Habs in his career. He's minus 103 for an anytime goal. Been riding Suzuki on this show, 18-1 for first goal. I like that one quite a bit. Anderson is plus 255 for anytime goal. I'm in on Anderson tonight. I like him on DK. I like him for shot props, and I like him for anytime goal. Matt, anything that jumps?
I like anytime goal. That's the one I was looking at Anderson for.
Anderson, anytime goal. Yeah, he's been feeling it. What do you think, Best?
Give me Zachy Hyman first goal or anytime goal plus 320 or plus 16. If this happens after you saying no chance, if I can find, let's say, Nick Suzuki at plus or 2.5 shots at plus 125, what do you think of that?
I don't mind it. He's not a guy that I would normally take because he is a bit of a pass first guy. As much as I take the first goals, I find he tends to look for Anderson or Drouin first. It's like him and Drouin pass to each other too much. It's the one thing I will say to each other, just like, here, you take it. No, you take it. But at those odds, Matt, like plus money for that, I definitely don't mind it. Yeah.
The plus money is what I was looking at there because, I mean, on certain sites everywhere else, there's not a lot of plus spots that I'm a big fan of. I mean, Marner at 2.5 is plus 100 on certain sites, and that might be something I want to get a piece of, but I'd rather just take Suzuki at plus 125 and get that bit of extra money there.
And looking at that first game again to natural stat trick was the 5-on-5 numbers. The Leafs dominated the play on special teams. There's no question. They're always going to do that, in my opinion. But the 5-on-5 play, it was a battle between Matthews and Deneau, that line, and I think it will be again. But I thought there was a bit of a mismatch with the Suzuki-Anderson line. They both scored goals in that game against the Leafs, against Tavares and Willie Nylander. And, Claude Julien at home, he's going to do that. He's going to always match up his lines. He's going to try to get Deneau against Matthews every single time. So just maybe attacking that second line in Toronto, the Tavares, Nylander, the Anderson, Drouin, Suzuki, maybe that line will play a little bit more wide open hockey, and we can see some offense that way. Esser, a pleasure, man. Love talking hockey with you. Keep it up, man. Where can everyone follow your work?
Over at The Athletic right now, I'm covering PGA betting and DFS plays. You can head over there and check out who I like this week for Pebble Beach. And moving forward, it's a lot of fun, a lot of great times talking to people in the chats and on Twitter. So follow me over there at Coach Esser, and look forward to talking all kinds of sports with everyone.
Nice. What do we got for picks, Matt? We got a record. We got to talk about it since it's been decent.
Yeah, you did quite well. No more perfect. You had 2 perfect weeks in a row. But you ended up
lucky.
You got the Tampa Bay money line. You missed on the St. Louis money line. The Carolina over, missed by a goal. You did nail 2 puck lines though, which is what we like to see. You got Leafs and the Oilers, and you told people to parlay them together. So I would give you a bonus point for that, but we've never done that before, so no bonus
it's
point
all good.
for you.
No bonus points.
36 for 52 is what you're at right now, and you went 2 for 3 on your shot props, but I would love to give you an extra point because we gave Line as a shot prop that night. Yeah, but you nailed Garland, you nailed Lee. There was a lot of good calls on the show.
By the way, Line is off my list. You can't pick him at all for prize picks. You can't pick him for shot props. You can't pick him because you can't trust the situation. You just can't. I wanted to get into that. I'm glad you brought it up. That's it. That's all I'm going to ever say. I told all the FTN subs too, don't ever pick Line for anything unless it's just going to be anytime goal, because I mean, he could score, but I mean, 4 games in and you're already benched. So you can't trust it. You can't be laying money like that. And he's always juiced up too. The picks today for me, I'm going to take Boston. I'm going to take Montreal. I know it's only 2 picks, but if you want some totals, I will lean in the under for the Bruins and the Rangers game. And I'll go with Matty. I think he made some really good points with the over 6.5. Esser, you were on that too as well. I think we'll probably see some goals in that game between these 2 teams. They're both scoring so much, right? How could they not score tonight, even with, nights off against the Canucks and the Sens? So over there, the shot props, Pasternak and Marchand. And if you can find Anderson or Toffoli anywhere else, that's where I would go. And 2.5s, no 3.5s. And then Suzuki first time goal. And cop out. No, I'll go with Marchand. Big night from him. 11-1, first time goal. Esser, always a pleasure, man. Subscribe to the Mayo Media Network. Check out prizepicks.com. Use that promo code MMN. I'm Chris Meaney. Talk to you soon. Cheers.